Well, when we passed our budget resolution last week, we were just starting the process. That's a framework that we use here in the Senate along with the House in order to have reconciliation so we can meet President Trump's agenda to support our troops, to secure the border, to unleash American energy, and to keep taxes low. What we're looking at here in the Senate is to make our tax cuts that we passed in 2017 permanent. If we don't, the American public will see a $4 trillion tax increase at the end of 2026. So I look forward to working with the House to make sure that we can meet all those extremely important points that we have promised the American people.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't want one bill. You want it in a couple of bills.
You know, I think we can work together to get this done. That's our goal. We all want to be able to get this done for the American people. Right now, if we don't make those tax cuts permanent, as I said, that's a $4 trillion tax increase. Yeah. A family of four that makes about $80,000, they would see $1,700 tax increase. Yeah. We promised to keep taxes low. That's one of our promises.
And you can't make the tax cuts.
Likes ours.
You can't make the tax cuts permanent in one bill, is what you're saying.
I think there's an avenue that we can look at there. You know, our proposal wants to make sure that we can work with the House, and the House works with us. As you know, Maria, in the Senate, we have constraints when we work through a reconciliation bill. There's that bird bath. So we have to be able to meet those constraints in order to pass this with 51 votes. Right. That's an issue we have in the Senate. The House understands that, so we're going to work this out.
Right. Well, the president talked about the tariffs on Truth Social this morning, and he's responding to what has been a massive sell-off in stocks. And here's what the president writes this morning. Oil prices are down. Interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates. Food prices are down. There's no inflation. And the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. Elon Musk also broke with the president in some areas on tariffs, and he's hoping for a free trade zone with Europe. Here's Elon Musk. Watch.
I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
So, Senator, I guess my question to you on this tariff debacle is, should Congress be involved? California Congressman David Vallado is supporting this bipartisan Senate bill, which forces the president to get Congress's approval to use tariffs. Do you want that?
Well, I think being able to have input on these tariffs is extremely important. I think you're referencing the Grassley bill as well, where there's a number of senators who have signed on to that. I'm looking at it, but I want to give the president time. That's where I'm at, and that's where Nebraskans are, too, to be able to give the president time. As you quoted what he had put up this morning, I agree with those points. We're seeing a decrease in oil prices. We're seeing food prices come down. Here in Congress, we are looking at spending cuts to get spending under control. We're looking at getting rid of a lot of regulations out there. All of that is part of this package. So when we wait for the president's tariffs to be able to have an impact on the unfair trade practices that we have seen against ag producers, against manufacturing here in America, we want to make sure that we're going to be addressing that. Right now, for example, ethanol. Nebraska is an ethanol state. Yep. We are the second largest producer. When we talk about ethanol, ethanol from Brazil comes in with no tariff right now, none. They pay zero. Yep. But yet when we export ethanol to Brazil, 18%. Those kinds of actions by other countries need to stop. Those are prohibitive for exports. We had an administration under Joe Biden that did nothing. They had no interest whatsoever in trade.
Well,
and we saw
right.
over $40 billion trade deficit.
Yep.
That has to stop. So we're giving the president time.
Yeah, and I know you sent a letter to the president in regard to that ethanol situation. So thank you for raising that. But, Senator, let me get your take on this, because the president has been using the IEEPA to impose these tariffs, and that's the International Emergency Economic Power Act, and that authorizes the president to regulate economic transactions and respond to national security issues. There are some on Wall Street. Piper Sandler this morning writes that we could actually see a challenge of the use of IEEPA on the legal front, that the use of IEEPA to impose tariffs is illegal, and it will eventually be reversed by the Supreme Court. If it's possible, the tariffs could be blocked by the courts as well. Could take a few weeks or months. Likely President Trump, if that's the case, he'll come back. He'll use another legal authority to restore most, but probably not all, of the liberation tariffs. What do you think about IEEPA?
I think the president used it to address the fentanyl crisis that we saw not only on the southern border, but also on our northern border. He has the right to do that. But as you said, Maria, if there is a challenge, it will go to the courts, it will go up to the Supreme Court, and we'll have to see what the ruling is.
All right. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be watching your work, Senator. Senator Deb Fischer on Capitol Hill.